But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
You did. A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. We are your favorite corporate sellouts. My name is Everett Delorme. That is Rob St. Clair. This is the 9x9, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball on the internet. It's been a minute, but we're happy to be back. Episode 133. And Rob, the volleyball world has blown open. We have Champions League. We have Poland, we have Italy, we have Japan, we have Turkey. We have 4 pages of notes today. I don't know.
This is a ridiculous notes section for this show.
I don't know if we've ever had 4 pages of notes. That is absolutely ridiculous. Real quick, I am back from Brazil, where I was there for the Rio Elite 16. If you are into beach volleyball at all, I encourage you to go over to the Beach Volleyball World Instagram and check out some of the work we did. I thought it was pretty good. It
was awesome. I'll speak for you because I'm not even into beach volleyball, and I still loved following along with that event in Rio. So very well done. You, Travis, Kyle, the whole front and back end of
Daniel
content
Fritas,
operation.
Frito, of course. Our guy, Alex Shim, the intern,
shouts to Alex.
Who killed it. Sol Di Diego, Raquel Pais, of course, our guy, Luis Abuelo, as well. The entire team over there absolutely crushed it.
Awesome.
And it was a lot of fun. But now we're here to talk about indoor volleyball.
We are. And we haven't done a show in like 16 days, I think. It was a couple Mondays ago in Toronto in person, buddy. That was the last time we did one of these. I haven't done a show in my office in Chicago in over a month, because like the couple before that I was in like random hotel rooms for work, and now I'm back, and now my webcam doesn't work, so I'm just using the camera on my laptop. Whatever, we're rocking with it. We're here. We have a lot of volleyball to talk about. First and foremost, Everett, it is back. It is returned. It is time for the CEV Champions League. The CEV Champions League is back, and we're going to start talking about the women's side because they're already 2 rounds in, or almost 2 full rounds in. It is week 2 this week, and there's a lot to talk about Champions League. It's the best club competition in volleyball. But unfortunately, in particular on the women's side, this 4th round, as they call it, which is basically the regular season where there's 20 teams, 4 pools of 5, 6 weeks, it's basically the regular season. There's a lot of snooze fests. There's a lot of snooze fest games.
A lot of 3-dongers.
A lot of dongs. A lot of dongings.
Not much to get excited about, really, when you
not yet.
Not yet. We won't go into the extracurriculars of us begging for a different format of Champions League, but hey, we'll go through it. Rob, is there anything in particular that you want to point out? Maybe we can go through some of the pools here.
Yeah, we can go through some of the pools and just kind of remind people of how this tournament works and how the format works, and why these first couple weeks on the women's side haven't been very interesting. That's because they draw all these teams. It's the best of all the European leagues, Champions League, right? Like if you know soccer, you're familiar with this format. It's based on the season that you had within your own country's league last year. Then you put everyone in these different cups and you draw out all these pools, and then these early phases where a couple of the teams get to play into this phase. And then once you get here, it's 20 teams and 5 pools. Everyone plays 6 matches. You play everybody twice each in your pool, and then 11 of the 20 advance. That is kind of new as of a couple years ago. If you take top 2 in your pool, you advance, and then of the 5 third place teams, the top ranked one is that 11th team. That's the format. On the women's side, the first 2 weeks are usually snooze fests because it's until week 3 when we see the top 2 seeded teams in each pool play each other. And in particular this year, Everett, without Russia in the mix, without very many good teams from countries other than Italy and Turkey, you just get a lot of snooze fests in these first couple games.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think especially now that there's been a mass exodus of quality Americans who are going to play in League One
Right.
this upcoming year. That's like literally they're starting preseason now.
Yes, they are.
The landscape of European women's volleyball in particular is much different. You know, there's effects on the men's side as well with the opening up of Japan, but not to the extent of League One starting up in North America.
It's League One is even pulling away some European talent. Like
That's
as
it.
I'm noticing some of the teams get active this preseason, I'm reminded of some players that have gone over there, like Rafaela Foley.
Yeah,
She's playing in League One this year, for example. And yeah, like all the American talent that formerly populated a lot of Italy and Turkey, but also like there were
everywhere
good
else.
teams in Germany, good teams in Poland, good teams in France that were full of Americans that just aren't anymore. And that I think makes the divide between, I think you have 6 contenders on the women's side. It's the 3 Italian teams and the 3 Turkish teams that we're used to. And then everybody else, that gap is even wider now than it ever has been.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time for that balance of power to even out a little bit. But it is going to create more opportunity for more young athletes to come up through those ranks, and I fully expect that to just create even more quality across the board on the long term. So, right, just more women playing professional volleyball is a good thing.
Is good, yeah.
It's just going to allow the grass to grow even greener. So, good things to come. But right now, there's definitely some growing pains, especially on the Champions League side. As we said, just a lot of 3 dongs and not a lot of interesting things. I'm going through some of these pools here, Rob. Pool C is somewhat interesting with Malonza and Vakifbank in the same pool. So you know that there's going to produce a couple of good games there.
Other than that, dude.
Otherwise, you know what? I think this really gives the opportunity to just watch some secondary teams.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it gives some good time to watch some teams that you wouldn't previously. Like, you know, we had Bodlani Voj and the Neptunes from Nantes go 5. Was that today?
I think that was it might have been week 1. I can't remember. Nantes has lost 2 5-setters.
No, that was yesterday.
It was yesterday. Okay, it was week 2. Thanks. Yeah, so, just to put it on the record to be clear, the 6 teams that we expect to contend are Conegliano, Malonza, and Scandici from Italy, and Fenerbahce, Eczacıbaşı, and Vakifbank from Turkey. And there's 6 teams that we think are good. There's 5 pools, and there's only one pool, like Everett said, that's Pool C, that has 2 of those 6 teams in the same pool. And I actually think that Malonza and Vakifbank were also in the same pool last year, if I remember right. Maybe I'm making that up, but I'm pretty sure I remember them playing in pool play.
I think you're right on that.
So those are the only games. Like, it would be astonishing to me if Conegliano, Eczacıbaşı, Fenerbahce, and Scandici did not go 6-0 in their respective pools.
No, they absolutely should.
And so far, as we look at week 1 results, and this was last week, last Tuesday through Thursday, that's exactly what we have seen so far. Eczacıbaşı 3-0. Fenerbahce 3-0, Scandici 3-0, Malonza 3-0, Conegliano 3-0, and Vakifbank 3-1. They dropped a set to Kalsit Kamnik from Slovenia.
Scandalous. Write about it in the papers.
Right. But like, other than that, it's just like teams that will be happy to get out of pools.
Absolutely.
And that is the ceiling for just a lot of these other teams.
100%. And there's some of them who are going to be happy just to be able to go compete at the CEV Cup. Right, I think that's part of the reality of it.
That's another good reminder that there are going to be 5 teams that finish 3rd. The top 1 advances to the bracket. The other 4 actually drop down to the CEV Cup in like the round of 8, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
That actually usually ends up producing a pretty good conclusion.
I actually really like that format. I really do. Just keep them going. It gives really good matchups earlier on, and you would expect the Champions League teams to maybe dominate, but it's not actually the case, especially when you look at some quality teams from countries that end up in the CEV Cup. It's always interesting. Is there anything particular that we want to chat about here with on the women's side?
Just Berkai's point in the chat is a good one, and that's all you need to be looking at here is, did any of those 6 top teams drop a set?
Yeah.
because it's going to come down to tiebreakers. It's wins, then points, then set ratio. And like it very, very often comes down to set ratio, not necessarily for like making out of pools or not, but for like seeding within the bracket. The tiebreakers do matter a lot. So looking at the set columns is definitely important. So Vakif Bank did drop that one in week 1. And then looking at week 2,
shellackings
yeah,
there.
dude, it's rough.
I'm seeing some rough. 8s.
Yeah. So this week now it's
10s and 11s.
Malonza versus Komnik 25-8, 25-14, 25-17. Like that's brutal. Vakif Bank 3-0.
Sweep on Vuj.
Yeah.
Oh no, almost.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Scandici 3-0, Fenerbahce 3-1. So there's another set dropped by a contender. I don't know what Fenerbahce is doing, dropping a set to a Hungarian team. I'm sure they didn't play all the starters, but that's like the only thing of interest until those good teams play each other on the women's side is did the contenders drop a set?
Yeah,
kind of it, man. Like this was happening today, and I didn't watch any of these games today because none of them were interesting. I was watching a lot of men's games because there were some that were interesting that we'll talk about in a minute. Berkay, another great point. Leana Grozer, Georg Grozer's daughter, stuff blocked Tiana Bushkovich today. That was pretty cool. Didn't matter, but it was cool. She plays for Schwerin in the Bundesliga. That's about all I got.
All right. Fair enough. No, I mean, the Champions League will get more interesting at a certain point. Once again, I think it just proves more and more that maybe we need to abolish the current system that we have, throw everyone into a pot, make it into a tiered competition that you can move down throughout the event. And then once, at a certain point, a certain chunk of teams go into the Champions League, and that's just straight up playoffs and then Cup, Challenge Cup, whatever it may be.
They've got this nice tiered system, but they're not doing enough with it as far as moving from one to the other. Like with the exception of that thing we talked about, like the third place Champions League teams dropping down to CEV Cup, which is great. Like that needs to happen more in all directions at like different times.
But I just want to be able to abolish it. And like, let's just be honest here that even the CEV Cup and the Challenge Cup teams coming from Italy and Turkey are going to be better than the majority of the other teams. That is just the reality of it, right? You would get so much more value if you had, imagine if you had those like 3-4 matchups between Turkey and Italy. That's why like it just gets a little stale with always those top teams end up playing. You can like add in more into it, but I don't want to get into it just now. We've got too much to talk about let's talk more about this.
Yeah, we can. We promise we're aware of Women's Champions League, but we have so much to talk about that we're going to prioritize it throughout the season only when matches are good. And that I think goes for all of world volleyball. When matches are good, we'll talk about them. When matches are useless, we'll spend less time.
Burkhard, that's a good point in the chat. New CEV president and like
yes.
Good things. Not a boomer.
Yeah,
so,
we hear great things about this guy. I need to remember his name. And yes, Final Four format for Champions League playoffs. That is true. That will happen much down the road, but the format for the fourth round for now is exactly the same.
Cool. Heading over to the men's side here, Rob. I would say maybe a little bit more intrigue. Maybe a little bit more interesting. I think maybe the balance of power on the men's side is possibly a little bit different.
It's really different.
It's really different. So we just went through the first matches today, and Rob, there was a couple of bangers. There was a few good ones.
I'd say there were more than a few bangers. I mean, we had 3 5-setters today, 2 of which were reverse sweeps. We're getting a look at some different teams, and like we've complained for a little while, at least like projecting, maybe complaining in advance about this Champions League, that there aren't as many contenders, and like the top end of Champions League is quite bad. Really, there are 4 good teams in this tournament. That's Perugia and the 3 Polish teams, because of how bad the other 2 Italian teams are relative to a lot of years. Milano and Monza are not usual Champions League contender caliber teams, but
Monza just got 3'd on by Padova.
Yeah, dude, it's bad. It's bad.
This ain't good.
Bad. We'll talk about the Superlega later, but like with Monza and Milano being so bad relative to usual Italian Champions League teams, there end up being a lot more competitive games beneath those 4 contenders. And so we'll keep an eye on the 4 contenders being Perugia, Warszawa, JW, and Zawiercie. It'll be the same thing for them. Do they lose a set? But beneath that, there's much more good volleyball being played.
But I would push back on that a little bit, especially on those Polish teams. Look at the carnage we're seeing in the Plusliga this year.
Yes, that's true.
That gap isn't as big, right? As we've seen it. Once again, we talk about on the women's side of that influence of all of the American players going to the States. Now on the men's side, you do have an outflux of certain quality players who like that upper echelon of talent heading to Japan. So there's a little bit less of that gap in my opinion. So I think the men's interesting. I think the men's 4th round is actually going to be pretty interesting.
So yeah, there's some pools that I'd say every pool has a favorite. There are some pools that have some potentially really good games. Pool B with Monza, Fenerbahce, Gießen, and Olympiacos is the only one that doesn't have like a legitimately good team in it.
That one's wide open.
It's wide open, which is good. But like whoever wins that pool is going to be kind of a brutal team to take first, you know. But then like Warszawa and Berlin, decent pool. Zawiercie and Milano, that hopefully that's decent. Hopefully like Milano plays up. Perugia and Halkbank, that's going to be awesome. JW and I mean either Chaumont or Lüneburg I think could be okay. JW is definitely the favorite, but
and I mean, hey, we saw it today, like especially in Pool C. Kanak Rosolari went toe to toe with Milano, pushing them all the way to a 5th. That one was just a straight battle of Belgium with Sepe Roti and Ferry Ruegers going toe to toe. That one, Rob, is really when you look at that matchup and the potential future of the Belgium national team, that is scary. Sepe Roti with 30 points, 24 for 41. Ferry Ruegers 22 for 38 and 2 blocks. Sepe Roti also had 4 blocks and 2 aces.
And that's not even including the stats in the 5th set because the CEV can't figure it out and finalize their score sheets for the matches that go 5. If you're playing CEV fantasy, which you all should be, and you all should be in our like community groups that have been organized by the Discord, Sepe Roti should be very high on your list of people to have been picked because he carries Nakru Solari so hard at the outside hitter position. 30, like you said, all those numbers, all that volume. And it sucks for Rusolari because they went up 2-0 and got reverse swept on the road. They had a great chance to steal major points on the road up 2-0 and couldn't close it out.
That would have made things spicy. I mean, hey, I don't want to really go there, but there is a Belgian history as of recent of not being able to close out big things.
Oh no. Flashback to 2023 Olympic qualifiers.
You reaped the benefit.
Yes, you did. That I wasn't surprised that these two teams produced a good game. I mean, Nakru Solari is a classic like Champions League sort of dark horse that always plays above their level of talent. They end up being greater than the sum of their individual parts. But I mean,
this Milano team is just not to the level of
exact opposite of that.
Team, absolutely, they really struggled in this one.
Yeah, just not super great. Also, why didn't Jordan Schnitzer play in this game?
No Jordan Schnitzer. Gardini got the start and then the yank pretty early.
Quick yank. I mean, Kaziski didn't play. I don't know what they're doing. They thought they could like roll out the bench and beat a team that is super good in Champions League every year. That would be poor scouting if that was the case.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah,
well, it'll definitely be interesting to watch this pool.
Nice thing is whenever there's a good game in the first 3 weeks, you're guaranteed to see that same matchup again in the other team's arena in the second half of the 4th round. So that's fun. Another reverse sweep today was one that a lot of people were looking forward to for a lot of reasons. Lüneburg versus Chaumont in Pool E. The battle of the Worsley brothers, amongst many other things. This was an insane game. This is the one that I was watching the most intently today. Dude, there were so many, there's so many storylines, like interpersonal storylines in this matchup. I just want to read through them. First of all, Joe Worsley and Lucas Massa now play for Chaumont. They started with Lüneburg. That's fun.
Yeah.
Joe Worsley versus Gage Worsley for the first time ever in their careers, playing on different teams,
Crazy.
playing against each other. That's sick. Jacob Pasteur, who plays outside for Chaumont, and Michael Wright, who sets for Lundberg, were 4-year teammates at Ohio State together. That's cool. Shane Holdaway, who plays middle for Chaumont, and Simon Torwey, who's middle for Lundberg, were basically the last two great middles at Long Beach State. They went head to head today. That was fun to watch. And then Xander Kaczynski, who's the backup opposite on Canada's Olympic team, is dating Lucas Massa's sister, and they played against each other too. So the interpersonal things here in this match were enough. And then the game ended up being amazing. I mean, Lundberg's home crowd is well documented to be awesome. I mean, them beating Arcus Izmir last year in CEV Cup at home comes to mind. But that crowd kind of willed them back from an 0-2 hole, and they ended up winning the fifth set 15-13, I think. Yeah, 15-13 in the fifth in a reverse sweep. So that game was absolute fireworks. Super fun to watch.
Love that. See, like I think once again, there's some really good opportunities for some other matchups here to be super interesting. Like I always love the Germany versus France matchups because I think they're at the same level, but they play different styles of ball, and it always produces for some good, interesting stuff. And you gotta love it
For sure.
You gotta love it. Not to mention all the storylines are fire.
Yeah, they're fun. I don't know if that game had English commentary. I wasn't listening to any, but it should have, just for the sake of being able to tell those stories.
Bro, I don't even know where to watch it.
Nobody knows. It's a mess. Hopefully that gets fixed. We are hoping that gets fixed.
Yeah.
We are hoping that gets fixed. Good match though. Super fun ball. Like this is like, I can complain about there not being a lot of great teams in Champions League, but then you get games like this. Like neither of these two teams are going to win Champions League or contend, but that was really fun volleyball today in pool play.
Can we talk about Halkbank and Saint Nazaire going toe to toe too?
Sure. Speaking of 5-set bangers, whoa.
Wow, this one was interesting for sure. Did you watch it?
Oh yeah,
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I watched it. It was the earliest match that started today.
First things first,
26-24 in the fifth is outrageous.
Ooh, that is gross.
It's crazy.
And this just continues this is going to be interesting, Rob, because now we are turning a new leaf in USA volleyball, and my cries for Jordan Ewart to get a look and to get some respect are going to grow louder and louder, especially when he produces numbers like this, 26 points in the win. Was he good? Did he pass the eye test in this?
Yes, he did. He definitely passed the eye test. I think that's the right question to ask too, because they were on the road in Ankara, a hostile environment against a team.
Only one error. He
Yeah,
did get blocked 5 times, but only one error that's high level ball.
Again, this is not updated after the fifth set because for some reason the CEV can't figure out their stat reports that go 5. I mean, there's even more volleyball played that wasn't accounted for here, and he's credited with 26. So like that's sick. He was awesome, and I especially was impressed with his decision making and execution out of system.
Bro, he passed over half of the balls too.
Yeah, he did 50 reception attempts.
And
according to
on the stat sheet, he was a plus 16 at this point. That's wild.
Amazing.
Those are some fantastic numbers out there.
Yeah, he was awesome. And then this French opposite, Henri Léon, who I hadn't heard of before, I was really impressed by him. And some people were saying that he's going to be like a player for the French national team. Apparently, he's really young, and he was part of one of the U20s. Let me look this up. Tough to be named Léon in this business and not have the first name Wilfredo.
Can the French just stop producing gangbuster dudes who just come out of nowhere and impress us all?
It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, the kid, he's a 2003.
Gross.
Yeah.
Henri Léon.
And he dropped 26 today in an incomplete stat sheet. So those are the 2-point scorers. Yeah, I was impressed by Saint Nazaire because, I mean, they came out of nowhere last year. They won the French league as a 7 seed, which I think is still the lowest seeded team I've ever seen win a major league, and then practically their entire roster left. I mean, that was with Quinn Isaacson and Kyle Ensing, and both of those guys are gone, and then a few others I think that went elsewhere. And then they go to Ankara and beat Halkbank, who probably has would it be crazy to estimate that Halkbank's budget might be 10 times what Saint Nazaire's is as a team? Like that
At
That
least.
level of resource disparity is insane.
Massively insane. Just saw that. Again, they almost starting over my boy Jordan Canham. So
That's true.
if he's out there putting up numbers like this over Canham, like, I got a high amount of respect for Canham's game. So it's not easy to go out there and play over him for sure.
And I wanted to talk about Halkbank for a minute, and I'm sure this is preaching to the choir for Berkay and the Turkish people who have been complaining about Halkbank's roster construction this year, because they lose Nimir Abdelaziz, right? He's been their MVP the last couple of years. They replace him with Marek Shotila, who I really like. I mean, I think just about anybody is going to be a downgrade from Nimir, but still a super reliable, like high volume scorer, in my opinion. Yeah. What I don't like is that they decided that their solution at the outside hitter position, across from Mirza Lagumja, who's a great young Turkish prospect who I rate really highly, the solution next to him is Dick Koy to replace Irvin Ingapet? Like, what are we doing?
I don't understand. Like, we've seen this before from teams, and it's just like, who should we sign? We typically sign some of the best in the world. Who should we sign? Dick Koy.
What are we doing, dude?
Dick Koy hasn't been relevant in so long. And once again, it's just, this is part of the reason why I hate the volleyball transfer market. And I was literally having a conversation about this in Brazil with people. It's just like, why do we have the worst transfer market in the world?
It's so bad.
It just leads for the worst turnover and just the decimation of good teams. I could go on and on about it. Like, this is why volleyball isn't a real sport. Someone needs to step in and mandate a proper transfer market that starts at the end of the season, but whatever. This Halkbank team isn't that good. But on the same time, I do think it's good for Mirza Lagumja. This is like, put a team on my back, bro. You're going to start to have to get better. Same thing for Micah Ma'a, right? This is where, like, we've seen how Micah Christensen can make average teams fantastic or pretty good.
Remember that one Modena team?
That's exactly
what we're on, with absolutely no talent, offensive talent. I think Luca Vittori was the opposite on that team. Like, yeah, good example. Get the most out of that.
Yeah, 100%. So, we'll see how this goes. I don't expect Halkbank to be a dark horse like they have been in past years. Like, dude, that roster last year was disgusting. It was nasty. Gross.
And still, they kind of blew it in the playoffs, as I recall.
They did.
And they failed to medal at the Club World Championship last year, which is even more embarrassing, knowing what we know about that tournament. A couple other games today that I watched. Well, I didn't watch Zavierce versus Innsbruck from Austria, but I was aware of it. Shout out to Kyle Ensing for getting the start and leading him in scoring with 15 on sky-high efficiency. So that was nice. There's a couple Americans on Innsbruck that I like. Kyle Paulsen is a middle from USC, and Kyle Hobus is an outside from Northridge. So I like those two guys. But
they had to, in that matchup.
Yeah, 3 Kyles. They had to grind. Innsbruck had to grind through those early rounds. It was them and Olympiacos who got through like the preliminary rounds to get to this point, which is cool. So I like them. I'm wishing them the best. But Zavierce is way, way too good. Way too good, even without needing Karol Butryn today.
Yeah. That team is one of the best in the world right now. So.
For sure. Fenerbahce donged Gießen, JW donged Sofia from Bulgaria, Perugia donged Budiovice. Yeah, whatever. Berlin dropped a set to Ljubljana yesterday. I didn't watch it, but
I actually have that stat sheet right in front of me here.
Do you?
26 for Jake Haynes.
Whew.
He did make 6 errors though, but still 26. Once again, this is like Jake Haynes is a consistent 20 bucket. Amir Mohamed Golzadeh, 22 for 38. Coming off the bench, too, for Ljubljana. What?
Wow.
He came off the bench in the first and the second, didn't start until the third and the fourth, and he went 22 for 38. Goodness gracious.
Who is that? Amir Mohamed Golzadeh. Quick...
Alan's,
sounds North African, or he's from Iran. Okay, he's a 2003. He's a 2003 from Iran. This is his first time playing outside his home country. That's really impressive. So maybe a name to keep an eye on. Also, Yanni Kovacic is the national team libero for Slovenia. He's been on Ljubljana forever. And then Sasha Stalakar is a big middle who I think was on Berlin's bench last year, and now he's starting for Ljubljana. So. For whatever that's worth. I don't think Berlin should be dropping sets to a Slovenian team, in my opinion.
No, absolutely not. No,
And
not.
then,
But I mean, I actually don't mind this, especially if a guy's popping off like that. Like how many points did Golzade have in the third set that they won? That has to be a lot.
it must be a lot. It went overtime as well. Let's see. Will the CEV stats allow me to do this?
Oh wait, yeah, you can see that. True. He went 10 for 14 in the third. Like
he also went 7 for 8 with no errors off the bench in the second. That's nuts.
Yeah, see, that to me is just like a dude comes out and just starts throwing haymakers that no one expected, and you're just like, whoa, what happened here? So I'm actually going to give credit to Berlin that they actually didn't let it go further.
Okay. I don't hate that.
That
like analysis.
This isn't a stat sheet type of thing. This isn't a game plan type of thing. This is something coming out of complete left field, and it looks like they were able to deal with it not too bad. Like they really neutralized him just through the gameplay. It looks like in the fourth, because he only got 3 attempts, which is absolutely ridiculous.
What?
If you're Ljubljana, how do you do that? What kind of idiot coach do you have that you're like, you know what? The guy who just went 10 for 14, screw him. We're going to go back to our old game plan. Okay. He's not. Yeah. This is like Carmelo Anthony coming back to the Linsanity Knicks. It's just like, what are we doing out here?
Woof. Last but not least, there's Monza versus Olympiacos is the battle of the geriatric teams tomorrow. I don't know what to make of that, but also yesterday, Warszawa just demolished Green Yard Mosaic from Belgium. I don't know what we're doing with having 2 Belgian teams in Champions League in the year 2024.
Mosaic. No. We can't. Let's Mosaic is legit.
Are they? They
should be better. That's a team that
they lost 25-9.
That's bad.
It's bad. And yeah, I mean, your boy Landon Curry is on there. My boy Cody Kessel is out there hitting negative efficiency. 6 for 19 with 7 errors.
Mosaic and Roselari are like, they go toe to toe in Belgium.
I bet they do.
That's also a team that has some good Champions League history. So I expect better out of them. They shouldn't be getting 9'd out there. Ugh.
Single digits is
embarrassing. Yeah,
it's unacceptable. All right, battle of the retirement homes, Olympiacos versus Monza tomorrow. That is it though for Champions League, as far as I know. Everett, is there anything else you want to cover?
No, but we can dive into to it a little bit more. But once things get a little bit spicier, but I think that's a pretty good breakdown of her.
Agreed. Let's go to what is still
the best league,
the best league, and the best individual story in all of volleyball, and that is Norwid Częstochowa on a 4-match heater, knocking off like Champions League contenders and some of the best rosters on the planet in the process. They've won 4 in a row. Their last 4 wins are Luke Lublin, Warszawa, Katowice, who's terrible, and then Resovia. Like those are the last 4 teams that they've beaten in a row. Longest win streak in the league, and it's the best league in the world. Norwid is electrifying.
I thought Lublin was going to be the biggest story in the Blue League this year, and they still are. Right? They're still massive, and I was lucky enough for this match to happen while I was in Rio. Some of the Volleyball World staff were pretty stoked on it. We had it up on some phones during lunchtime. Took a strategic lunch hour too. Just so we could check in some of this game. And I was astonished the way that Częstochowa played this game. They played it aggressively. Patrick Indra has to be one of the biggest breakout names in volleyball right now, the way he's putting up numbers. This Norwid Częstochowa team, like Abadapor randomly being really, really solid too, really having a good bounce back. This is a really good story right now. This is a really good story, and they're playing some fantastic ball.
They were given the nickname by our Turkish friend Jemmy, which is hilarious, the Robin Hood of volleyball, because they steal points from the top teams and they donate them to the lower teams.
Who coined that? So I can give credit, because I'm
Rodman's hair in the Discord. It's outstanding.
Rodman's hair, okay, yeah, Rodman's hair. I got you.
But they've stopped donating points to the lower teams in the league. Now they're just beating everybody. Like I watched that Lublin game on whenever that was, last week, Wednesday or Thursday. I don't remember which.
No, awesome.
Friday. Thank you. Awesome
at the end
game.
of the day.
Indra was automatic. As far as Czech lefties go, how ridiculous is Olsztyn feeling signing Hadrava over this guy?
Yeah.
Milad Ebadipor, awesome. And then Bartłomiej Lipinski is automatic. He dropped 15 points on
Real
481 efficiency. Like, all three of their wings are absolutely slinging it. And Quinn Isaacson was the MVP of the match. Well deserved. He's a guy.
Quinn Isaacson is, you're talking about another dude who needs to get a look for, like, actually for serious for the national team. And, like, nothing against Micah Ma. He's a fantastic too. But Isaacson, what he did at St. Nazaire this year, what he's done so far with Norwid Częstochowa this year, to me, he's far and beyond what Josh Tuanika is.
That's
right?
not
unfortunately, like, it's not even a doubt in my mind. The way that he can run an offense, the way that he can run a team so far, and he's doing it. Like, it's one thing to do in the French league, and, like, don't get me wrong, the French league is a fantastic league.
He did win the playoffs last year as a 7 seed, and I think that deserves a lot of credit.
100%. But now, like he's stepping that up even more with what he's doing so far here with Norwid. He's making them a legit contender, right? That win over Warszawa is huge,
massive.
Right? Resovia is what it is. I mean, Resovia is struggling for their lives.
We'll talk about them in a minute. They're a nightmare.
But Rob, if you had told me that the Plusliga would be this tantalizing, would be this interesting, where random matches I'm interested in. I'm not only interested in the top teams playing each other. There is so much intrigue in the Plusliga right now. Like, goodness gracious, so much happening. Teams 1 through 9 at the very least are fire. Right. And then you have to expect, like, where you have to look into it even more with the relegation race. Like, my goodness, everything happening right now in the Plusliga is just so good.
It's awesome. And a big storyline to focus on right now is the race for Polish Cup qualification. That is the top 6 teams in the standings midway through the year. So after everybody's played 15 matches, the top 6 qualify for the Polish Cup. And, like, as it stands right now, JW, Warszawa, Lublin, Zawiercie, Zaksa, who's also on a tear, who we'll talk about in a minute, and Norwid. Like, those 6 teams, and then there are going to be 2 terrible teams from the second division that end up completing that tournament. But, like, those Polish Cup games are going to be amazing given who the field is right now. And still, like, the fight for every little point, every little set is insanely competitive in that league. It's so good. And, like, every random game you turn it on and it's incredibly entertaining. It's really good. I'm so happy it's on VBTV too, by the way. It's, like, made it just way easier to follow. Yeah, Norwid is straight up the best story in all of volleyball. They're the best story. They're all playing amazing.
They're the
and
best story
fun.
right now, though.
Right now. And they're fun, dude. They're fun to watch. I really, really enjoy watching them. And I love Quinn Isaacson so much. And I think that a new pocket of volleyball fans are getting exposed to how good the kid is. And I hope that continues.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Polstat to allow us to start posting Liga stuff.
Yeah, the Plusliga being on VBTV is, like, kind of only the beginning of the media plan for that league, as far as I know. Everett certainly knows a lot more. There could be some very fun stuff coming about the Plusliga. But yeah, Norwid beating Lublin and Warszawa both for 3 points in a row is outrageous. Yeah, shout out to all those guys: Indra, Ebadipor, Isaacson, Lipinski.
Honestly, Rob, when you look at the top 8 teams, there's so many good stories, right? And I know we'll talk about Resovia here in a second, but especially Gorzhov with Chizoba and everything that they've been able to do. Gruprum is a club that has been on the edge of relegation now for years, and then Skra as well too, and Amin being also one of the big comeback stories. But jumping over to
this graphic, by the way, about standings is not updated after a match that was today, by the way, and that was Skra beating Stal Nissa in 5. So Skra's now up in 7th at 19 points. Everything else is correct, though.
Tight.
Yeah.
Love it.
But as good as Norwid is playing, and the streak that they're on, we were trying to give the benefit of the doubt, Everett, to a certain perennial choker, and that being Resovia. But I think that
it's happening so much earlier this year.
It's 11 matches into the season, and they still can't figure it out. What is happening there? Their last 3 matches, A 3-2 win over Stalnissa. That's a team that you need to beat for 3 points. A 3-2 loss to Kuprum Gorzuv, who it would be unfathomable to lose that match in previous years. And then a 3-2 win over Gdansk. Again, like that should be 9 points. And I think they only got 5 out of it. Like that is not acceptable for a team of that talent on the roster.
The one thing I will say about this roster is that they haven't yet lost to a non-playoff team. They haven't yet lost to one of the quote unquote good teams, but they've only got 1-3 dong underneath their belt, and that's against Olsztyn. Like they had to go to 5 with Gdansk and 5 with Nyssa, but like every other essentially other than Belchtov, they've lost to every other team ahead of them. Got 3 dong by JW. They went to 5 with Zavierci, lost 3-1 to Lublin. They went to 5 with Warszawa. They went to 5 with Norwid. They went to 5 with Częstochowa. They just don't have that ability to close matches right now, and they just don't have like the attitude or something that they're just missing. I can't really put my finger on it. And I mean, I've seen interviews with guys and being like, "This club takes care of us. Like we need to perform," and they just aren't.
A lot of people are putting on Gregor Ropret, who they brought in to replace Fabian Zizga and set that team. And from what I've watched, he certainly has not played well at all. But there's more to it than that. I mean, when inconsistency at the center position is bad, and that's difficult to overcome, but there's more to it than that. I don't know what's going on. It's like I'm trying to find like an NFL analog maybe, where it just like feels like too much pressure and expectations and resources for a team that was thrown together as just like names on a roster on paper with absolutely no consideration for how they might fit together, which is basically how Resovia builds all their rosters. But usually they fail in epic fashion in the playoffs or like late in the regular season, not 11 matches.
But this team isn't that mismatched, right? You look at like they have a really solid left side core. Bednor's, Vecina, and Chebul, right? That should give you options. You should be able to rock Chebul and Bednor's and have Vecina, who's a very viable option, come off the bench.
I agree.
Right? When you look at the opposite person too, Jakubuki is a fantastic backup to Stefan Boyer. Like Stefan Boyer just dropped like 19 points.
Yeah, I don't think Boyer is the problem. He's flying. He's putting up volume.
Down the middle too. Like Karl Klose, Reno, like this is a solid, like some solid guys. So
I have more questions about the middle blocker position. I mean, they allow Kuba Kochanovsky to walk, and they don't really replace him with anybody national team caliber. So that sucks. But like, you don't lose games through the middle. It's just not like guys like Karl Klose, Krzysztof Reno, like whoever else is in there. Like you shouldn't be losing games because of that position. And same with Zatorsky at libero. Like he's old, whatever, but like he's not going to lose you any games. So
no, definitely not. Like
there's more to it.
Zatorsky, you know what? And on top of that, like you have what is regarded to be a fantastic coach, arguably one of the best coaches in the world. So something's not right in the water over there in Resovia, and I'd love to find out a little bit more on it. But right now, not only like we don't even need to talk about Polish Cup for them.
No. It's not in the cards at all. They would need to try and make the playoffs and kill teams in CEV Cup, which I think they did today. They destroyed some team in that competition. Like they've got other concerns. You brought up Tomas Semelvuo and why he's so highly regarded. That's because he won a Champions League a couple years ago for a team that is now very much on the rise out of a pit of despair last year. Zaksa, Kinzerj, and Kozle is back, boys and girls. Zaksa is back. They're in 5th. They're playing awesome. They just got a gigantic 3-1 win over number 1 in the league, JW, this week. Big time. And also, Bartosz Kurek is coming back into the mix just in time.
Yes, he is. Although I think you have to give a lot of credit to Mateusz Reko. Like
100%.
Coming in after being in the second league for all that time and putting up the numbers and really keeping Zaksa at 7-4 is not something I expected.
No,
right?
me neither.
I think a lot of credit has, like, once again, it comes down to Zaksa maybe not having the budget to compete they have in years past, but still a quality organization. And that's right. Where it's seeping through, where it's not a terrible spot that they're in right now, and like they can still compete, especially once you add Bartosz Keurig in the max. I'd really like them to see them use Mateusz Reko, because he's proved that he deserves to be on the court. And you know what? Bartosz Keurig is not young, right?
Nope.
Maybe a little bit of load management is good, and you can, do a little bit of both, right? You can have rock both, a little bit of both guys. But yeah, this is our team, man. I actually enjoy watching them play. They are entertaining.
Yeah, I like him too. Mateusz Reko is the opposite guy we're talking about. He's 1998, so he's certainly is a guy with some youth that can spell Bartosz Keurig. He was on Benzin last year and helped them get promoted back to the Plus Liga, and he's been more than good enough in Keurig's absence. Like, he was not expecting to be their primary point scorer through 10 matches, and he has been. He's done a more than a good enough job. And against JW in particular, I mean, 17 points on 11 for 26 with 2 aces and 4 blocks. Like, the breakpoint generation is huge, and that's something that Zaksa really needs out of that position, because guys like Grabelny and Shimura, who are their outsides, who I like, are more of like a side out, keep the team in system, do your job sort of outside duo. Like, as far as breakpoint generation is concerned, like, you've either got to get hot from the service line in some area, or Rechko's going to have to bang some balls out of system. And it looks like he's been doing that. So that's big. And I mean, beating JW for 3 points is potentially like a season defining win for a team like Zaksa.
Yeah, without a doubt. It definitely just keeps them in the race. It keeps them relevant, and who knows, maybe they have been known to make some good, mid-season signings.
Irvin Ingapet to Zaksa. I'm going to keep saying it. Irvin Ingapet to Zaksa. Make it happen. Play for Andrea Gianni. He loves doing that. Make it happen.
We did bring this up months ago, Rob.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
On the JW side, their second outside hitter position is a problem. Tomasz Fornal is playing at an MVP level, and neither Vicentin nor Timothy Carl can do anything at all, especially in reception. It's bad. They're getting just bullied. Both guys.
And that's 2 guys I like too.
Same.
So it hurts me. It hurts me. But
you and I are both. They're both getting just dominated. Especially
we're not going to step away from the facts here. We're not going to step away from the numbers, people.
Never.
But we do believe in both cases. Okay, it's early in the season, right? Yeah, you just got to work into it. That's all it is.
Ooh, Berkay says Ingapet to Galatasaray is a prominent rumor to go play with Jean Patry. I mean, there's probably more money in it for him in that case, so maybe. But I still want Ingapet to Zaksa, so I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. Yeah. Nothing y'all can do to stop me. That would be
interesting. I don't know if Ingapet's ever played in the Polish league.
Not that I know of. I just think of him in Italy.
Adding Ingapeth to the Polish league would just make things so much
crazy.
I would love his personality in the Polish league.
It would be awesome.
With everything happening and all of these like stars kind of all over the place.
I'd say that's the one thing that the Polish league maybe needs a little bit more like individual personalities.
A little bit more shit talking.
No, definitely more shit talking, and look no further than go back and watch us talk about Irvin Ingapet during the Olympics if you have any doubts about his prowess in the trash talking area.
Yeah. But I mean, he's also a dude who can just back it up in his own way.
100%.
That's the best thing about Ingapeth is he'll talk shit to your face and then hit you with the reverse windmill and win a match with it, win a European championship with it, nonetheless. So
he'll do it.
Yeah.
A couple other storylines from the Plus Liga. Warszawa went to 5 with Olsztyn for some reason. I don't know what was up with that. That was a bit of a scare.
Once again, the league is so good, top to bottom.
My boy Nico Scherzen for Olsztyn had a good game.
Exactly. All you need is one dude to pop off, and then you're going to be able to knock another team off their axis. So
happens.
Yeah. Plus Liga.
We talked about Kuprum Gorzuv. They're playing great. They're on a 3-match win streak. We talked about Norwid. They're on a 4-match win streak. That's ridiculous. On the other side of that, Stal Nissa, 5 losses in a row, including today. They are 1 spot and just 2 points outside of relegation position. That team should be better than that. They've got to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. A few notable matches coming up in the Plus Liga this weekend. On Saturday, the early game on Saturday, Zawiercie takes on Zaksa. So that
Love
one,
that.
that one's going to be a good one to watch. That one's like 8:45 a.m. if you're on the East Coast like me, Eastern time. Also, then on Sunday, you got a couple of good ones. The early match is going to be Rzeszów against Skra, which is,
That's big.
8-9 in the or sorry 7-9, but there's only a few points that separate those two teams. If Rzeszów wants to get their season on track, a win here is paramount.
I think that's a
Right?
must-win game. I think
I absolutely think that's a must-win game here for Skra. And then right after that, you mentioned Gorzhov, that 3-game win streak, taking on Warszawa. Warszawa been looking pretty good this year.
That's a nice test.
That is a nice test, and it's going to be a really good battle of the opposites. Of course, Chizoba, we've talked about him, but then Linus Weber, and I think he dropped 17. He dropped 17 today too, in their Champions League, and he had 5 blocks in the match. But Linus Weber is a guy that we had almost written off, but he has really bounced back nicely and has been a really nice option for Warszawa. So I think that one also on Sunday too is a bit of a must watch.
Yeah, all really good games this round of the Plus League. It starts tomorrow. Yeah, Weber and Bowanj is a great opposite duo, and the way that they've been using them has worked. I don't know the exact science of who they start and when they choose to make changes mid-match, but it's largely worked for them, and they've gotten a lot of good production out of both guys.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, that is the most interesting league in volleyball right now, Rob.
100%. And you know where you can watch that most interesting league in volleyball, Everett, among many other leagues? It's VBTV. You have to subscribe to this. You just have to. Like, there's no other option to watch volleyball. There's more and more being added to it, especially national team summer coming up. It's a must. So go to VBTV, subscribe to it, and we have a way to save you some money, and that's with the discount code VS10. So use the code VS10, and in particular, there's like a direct link in the description of this video that kicks back to us as well. So make sure you use that. If you don't already have a membership to this, you must pick one up. And even if you do have one, but you don't have a discount, consider like canceling it and resubscribing with our discount code. Whatever you want to do, you need this. You have to have it to watch all these games that we're talking about. So make it happen. Same with Beach, like all the stuff that Everett's doing. That's how you watch those games too.
Everything out, like we have to say, and it's not just because we're corporate sellouts now, that the offerings of VBTV now is extensive. It is 100% worth it to get it to watch literally all the leagues in the world. And I guarantee you, if you have a VPN, you can open up into the Brazilian league too, right? Like it is that, like that's another thing. So you want to watch Brazil, just have a VPN. You want to watch Japan, but still Japan, Poland, Italy, right there is absolutely massive. Not to mention everything that's happening on the beach. We still have one more beach event this year, Doha Beach Pro Tour Final. So I'm headed to the Middle East.
I can't wait to hear some stories about that. When is that? When's Doha?
That's first week of December.
Wow, that's okay.
Yeah.
Coming up soon.
So, and Rob, no more of this us not doing a show when I'm traveling. We're going to make it happen. Okay. Because the beach, this one is a little bit later. So I'm going to do a show live from Doha.
Let's do it. All right. A return to our favorite segment, Everett. It's time to remind everybody about our mascot, our hero, Daddy Stankovic. He's just the best. It's been a while since we've gotten to talk about him and hide him somewhere in the show as we do during the Where's Daddy segment, because 2 weeks ago we were in person and we didn't have any like actual graphics. We didn't hide Daddy anywhere. Don't worry, he's back. Daddy is in the show. He is hidden somewhere. You got to try and find him. And when you find him, you just have to comment in the main YouTube comment section of the video after the stream is over. You comment the timestamp of where he showed up. And the first person to do that gets a shout out on the following week's show. So the last show that we did in this setup was, I think, like 3 weeks ago, maybe even 4 weeks ago. Yeah. And there's Daddy lurking there behind the Superliga results from whatever week that was. It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute since we've done a lot of these things and done a show period. So, but don't worry, we haven't forgotten about Daddy. And our Brazilian friend Jackson Jr. was the first one to find him that particular week. So, good job. Keep an eye out for the man himself. He is somewhere in this show. I won't tell you if he's shown up yet or if he'll be in the second half, but keep an eye out.
Jackson, by the way, asked me at the top if I enjoyed my time in Rio. I loved Rio. Rio was sick.
You got one quick Rio story for the people? How about the soccer game at the Maracanã?
Oh no! So we weren't at the Maracanã. We were at the Nilton Santos Stadium, which is the Olympic Stadium where Usain Bolt broke the 100-meter record.
Sick!
And we went to go see a Botafogo. We went to go see a Botafogo match, and Botafogo is the top team in Brazil right now. Actually, gotta rep it. So Botafogo is the top team in Brazil right now, and they're about to win the league. So that was pretty incredible. And yeah, had to get the soccer jersey, of course, football jersey. I apologize to my Brazilian friends. And then I also, have made some Brazilian friends recently, and I did a little jersey exchange. Unfortunately, I didn't have anything but some Mizuno polos, but I also got.
Look at that!
It's got no number on the back, but this is legit.
That's
the
legit.
Old one. It's the A6 one.
Yeah, the A6 one from like last quad. I love it.
Yeah, the proper patches. Got the Banco do Brasil. So yeah, that's a pretty nice big pride and joy there. But honestly, Rob, like I love Brazil. I love the energy of the people. Like Rio was amazing. It's beautiful. The beaches are fantastic. There's such amazing topography. I can't wait to be able to go back again. It's going to take a little while. I don't think we're going to be able to go during Nations League just because of what other things are going to be happening during the same weekends.
Yeah, somebody asked about Nations League if we know anything, and
it's
not about if we know anything. It's about what we're able to tell you, and that's nothing.
Yeah, once again, we're corporate zealots, and we're going to hold it over your head.
Yeah, y'all don't get to know anything about Nations League yet, but don't worry, we'll talk about it when the time comes. You know what else we'll talk about, Everett? It's Superlega. We got to talk about Italy. We have two rounds plus one random bonus match that we have to cover, and of course, some of these games are better than others, so we'll spend more time in certain places. But there's finally been some super fun, like legitimately entertaining, like electrifying Superlega games, kind of like I've been hoping for and have complained about the last couple of weeks. So we got plenty to get to here. Where do you want to start? Which one is this? So this is round 6, is like a week and a half ago at this point.
This one I didn't watch that much of. This was my weekend off when I was in Rio, and let's say the Capiocas party late into the night. I left at 4:30, and they were still going.
That's prime Everett hours.
Maybe I had gotten up early that day, so I think we have to start with Perugia and Lube, because that's a match that actually looked like vintage Perugia Lube, and it shouldn't have, to be honest.
I kind of agree with that. It should not have, but and Lube went up 2-0 in this game and got reverse swept, so that's a tough break for them. However, it has to be said that the only reason that Lube was in that game was because of Adis Lagumja. He was absolutely automatic. 26 points, 24 for 41 attacking, 1 error only. That's 561 efficiency. That's crazy. So that's kind of what it's going to take for Lube this year to have a lot of success, is catch lightning in a bottle with random outside hitters here and there, and then have Adis be awesome. And he was. So good for him, but it wasn't enough. And it's kind of a bummer for Lube because they caught Perugia on a pretty bad day and they didn't quite capitalize, because Perugia was not good statistically in a lot of ways in this game. Yuki Ishikawa was the only player. I mean, he had 21, next closest was 13, and Ishikawa didn't even start the game.
Yeah. I mean, this one is just clearly like an off game for Perugia. Lagumja comes out flying, but then just the one-dimensional nature of Lube's game is really what limits them here, right? Especially once you get onto the later on, like, you got to open up that offense just a little bit. The fact that you're going back to Mattia Botolo continually, and he's 5 for 19 on the day with a negative efficiency. Lepke only given 19 attempts, like, yikes. Nikolov 1 for 7. Just weird distribution there by Bonifante. Like, what are you doing with your offense? It just really depended on that opposite. Just not good enough for me.
I won't put all the blame on Bonifante because the outside hitter thing is such a mess. I mean, Nikolov has barely played since coming back from surgery, so I'll give him a couple matches to figure it out. Botolo just needs to be better. He cannot be putting up negative efficiency over and over again. It seems like every Lube game I watch, or every Lube stat line I look at, Botelo's either hitting 400 or like negative 100 on the game. I don't understand the lack of consistency there. And Berkay, I want my Boninfante apology from you. You're not going to get it because I never have talked down about Boninfante. He's a young kid. He's yeah, that's fine. He's brand new. I've said that I'm not going to make a conclusion about him one way or the other. I think he's talented. I think he's got potential, but he got reverse swept. You're not getting an apology from me for getting reverse swept. You go up 2-0. You got a guy as automatic as Addis Lagumja, win the game, and then maybe I'll apologize to you.
Yeah,
not happening. Perugia's got to be better though, and they did get Gianelli back, even though he didn't start the game, but he came back. I mean, Bentara was pretty bad. Plotnitsky was average. The middles weren't very impactful. Loser, like low efficiency. Like they got to be better than that. But they did win because they're Perugia. That's what they do.
Yeah. That's a little anticlimactic. Yeah, Zopolari, the Acquarone lookalike, heading to the bench in this one too.
What is with all these bald Italian setters? There's so many.
I have no idea.
All right. The next one I wanted to look at was Piacenza versus Milano. And there's a kind of an interesting 2-week-long storyline for both of these teams. On the Milano side, they've played 1 million matches. They've played like, I think 4 matches in a week and a half. And I don't exactly know why, but they played 3 Superliga matches and a Champions League match since last week, Sunday. And that's pretty crazy. They had a Superliga match rescheduled. I'm not exactly sure why, but they just played a lot of volleyball, and they've been very, very inconsistent in doing so. And speaking of inconsistency, it's the total duality of Piacenza. I mean, they 3-dong Milano in this one. They look automatic. What did they hit as a team? Like 471 efficiency as a team, 11 blocks in 3 sets, 7 aces to 14 errors, and like Stephen Marr and Efe Mandaraja both look like the best players in the world. And so like they just completely pop off. They destroy people. And then the next game they play in week 7, which we'll talk about in a minute, is just the exact opposite of that.
Well, I mean, I think we just jump into it now.
Yeah, let's do
it. Just because just on the other side of that, then, I mean, Marr didn't have the best game, went 9 for 19, but 2 errors and got blocked twice.
3-dong by Lube, 20-20-20. Get out the door. See you later.
And Boninfante in this one looking like an outside hitter. He was 4 for 6 offensively with 3 blocks.
Love it.
Chases. So looking like Gianelli out there, putting up a 9 on the board. And then his team hit a 56%, which is still really good. Piacenza on the other hand with former best player in the world, Juan setting them 6 errors and got blocked 7 times.
And 2 aces to 17 errors. Just serving. Romano was bad serving. It was okay on offense. Marr not great. Mandaraja not great.
But once again, Rob, you talk about the Jekyll and Hyde nature of Mattia Botolo. He was unreal in this one. 9 for 13, hitting a 69%.
Nice.
12.
It's the lightning in a bottle, the roller coaster, the inconsistency of so many players and teams that widens the gap, in my opinion, between Perugia and Trentino and everybody else. The everybody else portion is starting to get really fun because it's like a NFL, like we say, any given Sunday, anybody can beat anyone. That's basically the case in the Plus Liga too, and it's starting to be that way in Italy, with the exception of Trentino and Perugia, because you get Lube being so bad, or so not so bad, but so one-dimensional. And then you get Mattia Botolo popping off, and then they wipe the floor with Piacenza, who looked unbelievable the week before. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's up and down. It's not as interesting as the Plus Liga though.
No.
We'll talk about that.
No, definitely not. Monza beat Toronto in 5 in week 6. These two teams both aren't very good.
No, I feel for Monza, they really don't interest me. What does interest me from this week though is Modena and Verona.
Yes,
toe to toe, because that
good volleyball.
All of this other stuff really doesn't interest you. But Frog Verona, which is what their name is always.
Is that the translation? Is Rana Frog?
But
it
like,
is.
man,
It's awesome.
31 points by Nomori Keita in a losing effort in this one. But then you look at Modena, and this is just where, like, this is once again having a fantastic setter on an average team. Tommaso Rinaldi with 22, Paul Buchkager 19, 16 for Simone Anzani. He went 12 for 16 in down the middle and 4 blocks.
I remember Simone Anzani most of his Lube career getting like 3 attempts a match.
Yeah.
And DeCecco
which is
is
wild
just
because he
played it.
Yeah, he played with DeCecco quite a bit there too. 8 for 9 for Sanguinetti down the middle too. Just a real high efficiency all around. Buchkager, the only one who's tying that down a little bit. Also, Jacopo.
Dude, Buchkager went 15 for 34 with 1 error. That's terrific.
Yeah,
it's
that's not
Jose
bad.
Gutierrez who wasn't very good.
True. Yeah, you're right.
But like Modena looks like exactly like you said it. When you have that world-class, like Hall of Fame caliber setter, he should be able to get the most out of what he has. And it seems
up everything for that.
it seems to keep happening on Modena, as the Micah Christensen example from a couple years ago. DeCecco now on Modena, like, this is not that good of a roster. You don't have world-class wings. You don't have even national team caliber wings. But you get the most out of them if you are that Hall of Fame caliber setter. And DeCecco played like it in this one. He also looks like he lost a couple pounds. Looks good.
What I still don't get out here, Rob, is that teams still aren't serving Nomori Keita. I mean, I guess he was an opposite on
He
this
was playing
one.
opposite where he belongs.
But then why aren't they serving what's his face? Who's Saint Francis?
That's Francesco Sani.
There we go.
That's such a funny translation. We got to do the all translation team. There are so many good ones in Italy.
Translation.
Yeah, so Sani was
Saint
bad,
Francis.
and Rok Mozic off the bench was also bad.
Ooh,
so he's not in game shape yet. Like him and Nikolov to me are like in the same spot and kind of on the same timeline of like coming back to things. But Verona, if Keita keeps playing like this, because he's playing unbelievable, and he's been doing it at 2 different positions this year, like we've said, when they get a complete team back and you have Mozic like on the other side of the court from him, Verona is very scary if they choose to pass the ball that day, which is a big question.
If Verona had a real coach, this team would be good.
Oh, for sure.
If Verona had a coach who knew how to win and wasn't a complete stooge and didn't play volleyball like it's 2012,
they got aced 10 times in this game.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
They're getting aced by Modena.
Yes, coming back from injury is hard. My boy Dave in the chat is coming back from an ACL. He knows all too well. And Dave is a baller, so he's going to get back into it, and so will Rok Mozic and Alex Nikolov. But this is a good game. This is by far the best Modena looked all season. And then the following round, they lose to Cisterna. Like, what's going on?
I mean, Cisterna has not been not bad this year, Rob.
No, but they're just Teo 4 and kind of nobody else, unless like Jordi Ramon pops off from the baseline or something. But like this one, I'm looking at the Cisterna beats Modena in 5 in round 7 over the weekend, and it ended up just being like Buchkager versus 4, kind of straight up. And both of them were real similar statistically, both good. And to me, the difference was Cisterna 6 aces, 14 errors. Modena 9 aces, 24 service errors. That is a lot, plus 14 blocks for Cisterna. So like the breakpoint risk reward is just a lot better on the Cisterna side, even though they're a little less talented.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Cisterna kind of feels like, especially with Teo 4 at the head, it's just there's kind of like a sledgehammer. You know, sometimes they're going to hit it, and sometimes they're just going to swing and a miss.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. Speaking of Cisterna, there was that one like intermediate game that I mentioned. Milano versus Cisterna was like a week 10 game that got moved up for some reason. I don't really know why. Somebody put it in the chat if you know. This was very much Ferry Ragers versus Teo 4, straight up. Milano won 3-1 because Ferry Ragers dropped 33. 33 points on 54 attempts in 4 sets in a men's match. You just don't see that anymore.
No, you don't. You don't see that at all.
3 of the sets did go overtime, to be fair.
Nice.
A lot of volume.
A lot of volume for Ferry Rigos over there. I mean, there's just a lot of interesting things happening in the Bundesliga right now. It's
Superliga.
Sorry, Superliga. I apologize. After Trentino and Perugia, kind of nothing. Not kind of nothing, but just kind of very interesting.
Speaking of Trentino, the last 2 games, I want to read the Alessandro Micheletto's stat lines in both, just because it's important to remember how unbelievable he is. 3-1 win over Grottazzolina. Whatever, you can say whatever you want about that. They probably shouldn't have dropped a set, but Micheletto 24 points, 21 for 33 attacking with 1 error, 1 block and 2 aces. So that is ridiculous. That's what efficiency is that? Like 60%. That's crazy. Then the following game, Trentino beats Verona 3-1, a much better opponent, and Micheletto 19 points, 17 for 28 attacking, 0 errors and 2 blocks. He's made 1 error the last 2 matches. Who's going to beat him for MVP again? Like, there's at this point, I don't know who could possibly do that.
I know who they would want.
Who's that? A certain Perugia outside hitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah,
right.
I mean, they would want that. That would be
who's they? Your employer?
No, I think Superliga as well.
Really?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Maybe. Shout out to Luca Porro, by the way, because Padova 3-donged Monza and he was really good. 14 points on crazy high efficiency, and Monza's just not good. They're just not good.
It's just hard to watch.
And this was despite Arthur Schwartz putting up 19 on high efficiency.
Yeah, Arthur's
just not good.
They just don't have much after that. They really struggle on the outside. And I actually did watch a little bit on the clips of this one. Zaitsev, bro, he can't be only given 9 attempts over 3 sets. You know, like he needs to be given a little bit more volume. That's why he's brought in.
Playing outside hitter,
but still, like. But the big thing in this one is just the reception. Moan's getting aced 8 times.
Brutal.
Only 23% perfect. On a one note, though, we did see the return of Taylor Averill, who came in with going 3 for 6 and got 2 blocks, coming in off the bench in the second set and starting the third.
That's good.
But
they need him to be better. Like, they need him to be playing over Thomas Beretta at least. But like, this Monza team is just not a well-constructed team, and they're not fun to watch right now. It sucks. It's a bummer.
They aren't. It is a bummer. It's been a lot of Arthur Schwartz, just a lot of Arthur Schwartz, and the ball's going to him. And the reality is Kachopa is not a great setter when he has to chase the ball.
Nope.
So
and good point by Berkay. Osmani Wantarena is out at least a month, more like month and a half.
What's like I don't know why you built your team thinking that this is 2016.
It's ridiculous.
What are you doing, Monza? What are we doing?
It's just bad roster construction. It's just bad. I have nothing else about the Superliga, I don't think. Other than Davide Gardini randomly had an amazing match for Milano against Grottazzolina. That was pretty random.
If it was against anyone but Grottazzolina, I would say something about it, but
yeah, 23 points. But then, like you said earlier, he started today in Champions League and got yanked.
It was Georgi Tartar.
Who?
Georgi Tartar. And he scored 23. Season high for him for
Todorov. It looks like he's an outside hitter. I don't know where he's from or who he is. I have not watched a Grottazzolina game yet this year. I'll be honest with you. I know nothing about that team. Except that Danny Deminenko is there, who we like. That's it, though. We got we have more Canadian news coming up later in the show. By the way,
he's a young Bulgarian.
Okay, how old is he?
It says here he's a 2003.
Ooh,
so he's 21. So, bro, Bulgaria cooking up something over there. That's because, and like if you look at his numbers too, Tartarov, they're actually pretty good. Let's see if I can find those. Where they're
Him,
again.
and both the Nikolovs. That's a nice young group of athletes.
Yeah, for sure. Like he's like kind of earned. It looks like he's kind of earned his way on the court, but in his last few games, he's dropped 18, 16, 13, and 23 for Grotazolinam. So
On the left side.
on the left
nice.
side too, man. Think of him, Alex Nikolov, Simeon Nikolov. They just need to find an opposite.
Pretty much. And then
Yeah.
John Lorenzo Blangini is coach in Bulgaria too. Yeah, keep an eye on that country. All right. Anything else in Super League, or do you want to go to the women's side?
No, I think let's just hop over to the women's side, which has been almost even deader.
Pretty dead, man.
Because even like Scandici, I know like we were like looking like, oh, Scandici and Glenn are going to play. Maybe it's going to be interesting. No,
Donged.
it wasn't.
Donged. Yeah, we only have a couple of matches that I thought were interesting, and this is sourced from the Discord, by the way. Thank you to the Discord for, in general, just being the best community in volleyball, but also for like letting us know what good things are happening in between our shows, so that we know somewhat what to focus on, what not to. And there were really only a couple Lega Volley Femminile matches worth bringing up. Here are the standings, and a reminder that Everett and I are on opposing sides this Lega Volley Femminile season. I am standing Corneliano, and Everett is rooting for the field. That's what we decided at the beginning of the season that we're going to do, and I think the Corneliano side is looking pretty good right now. Although Malonza is just now about to get Paula Egonu back, so that obviously changes everything.
That does change a little bit of stuff. She got in a little bit, I think, this past weekend, but
Yeah,
nothing much there. So, I mean, if you're a Milano fan on either side, you've got bringing back some quality stuff. So you got to be happy about that with Averill and Egonu coming back.
Yeah, the Vero Volley organization that can't figure out what their teams are going to be called. The Malonza game from this round 5, I thought was interesting. They beat Firenze in 5, and Nika Dalderop popped off on offense. She dropped 28 points on 438 efficiency from the left side, which is pretty huge. And they've been kind of, in Egonu's absence, they've been playing Helena Kazot on the right and kind of running a 3 outside hitter thing. And you would kind of expect in that case that Miriam Silla would end up being the scoring type, but really the past couple matches, Nico Dalderop has come to play. I mean, 28 against Firenze and then 25 against Busto Arsizio in round 7, both on like high efficiency. So she's balling out right now.
I mean, I think Silla has she's been really carrying a big offensive load late, like especially when you looked at her production with the national team in the Olympics this year. So maybe it's good that
awesome.
someone else is stepping in there, and love to see it. Lina goes out doing well too.
Yeah, we really like her. They're going to be gnarly deep at outside too, because like Silla, Dalderop, Kazot, and then they're still waiting on Elena Pietrini to get back, which is going to be really exciting, and that'll help them with the foreigner limit as well. Which actually they're constructed pretty decently foreigner limit wise. They don't have nearly the issues that the Monza men or another women's team that we'll talk about in a minute. They have big foreigner limit problems, but Malonza usually does that. Like they build rosters that handcuff them with foreigners a lot of years. This year's not one of them. I think they're better built in that area.
Better. So we'll see if they can. I don't know how good I feel about that bet yet, Rob.
What, Corneliano versus the field? Yeah. So speaking of Corneliano, where is their 3-dong over Scandici? There it is in round 6. This is the first time this year we've had 2 like legit contenders play each other. And it was a 3-dong. It was a 3-dong because Corneliano is just so good. Isabel Hawk's stat line is just vomit inducing. 27 points in 3 sets on 619 efficiency. That's nuts.
Bro, they just have so much around her. Like you have Zhu Ting and you have Gabby and like your backup, you've Moki as your libero, your backup setter is Seki. Like you just have an embarrassment of riches. And once again, this is a good program and a good organization that even though they have an embarrassment of riches in terms of foreigners, they make it work with the foreigner limit.
That's
right?
Because they've done exactly what you should do, and they've grouped foreigners by position group.
Yeah.
All of their middles and all of their liberos are Italian. So it's impossible for them to break the foreigner limit. Literally, they cannot field the roster with like normal positions that is not compliant with the foreigner limit. It's incredible. So now they have 4 outside hitters of 4 different nationalities. None of them are Italian. They have Isabel Hawk, and they have 2 great international setters. They're literally perfectly built. They're perfect. And then they go out and they stomp on Scandici with like 27 from Hawk, 19 from Gabi, and 10 from Zhu in 3 sets. And honestly, I feel bad for Ekaterina Antropova because she's awesome. She dropped 26. She was great. Like 24 for 42 with only 4 errors total as like the only option. And she's just the difference is that she's getting absolutely no help at all. And Scandici is incredibly restricted by the foreigner limit. And they already fired their coach this year. Good organizations are good organizations. And there's a difference in good organizations with talent and bad organizations with talent.
Yeah, I mean, Canigliano is about as good as it comes right now. In
in the chat
volleyball.
says, God, this league is so boring. I kind of agree, dude.
It is.
It's
It
boring.
really is. So is the Turkish league, though. So you can't sit on your high horse over there. Okay, like, I'm sorry.
Conegliano also beat Chieri, who is good. They beat him in 4, and Conegliano wasn't even super good that day. And they figured it out anyway because all 5 of their attackers were in double digits in scoring.
They're just
Hawk wasn't great. Hawk was what? 17 for 40 with 7 errors. Like that's 25% efficiency. That's not awesome. But you got double digits from both the middles and good games from Zhu and Gabi. That's what a good team does.
classic.
Yep, Conegliano versus the field. I've got Conegliano, and that looks pretty good right now.
Yeah, it doesn't look too great for me there, Rob. That's for damn sure. Not
All right.
too great.
I want to move on to the other women's league.
Yes,
because there has been some actually real fun stuff in the Turkish league, in the Sultanlar Ligi. We're digging into it here for kind of the first time this season. We've talked about some of the contenders, but haven't talked about a lot of regular season games. That's because there haven't been very many that have been good.
No.
One that I thought was real interesting that I wanted to talk about before we get to kind of the main event was Vakifbank beat Fenerbahce Everett. And this is unexpected until you learn that Melissa Vargas did not play in that game. Vakifbank beat him in 5, and that obviously is a big asterisk.
Yeah, that is a big asterisk, not having Melissa Vargas, arguably the best player, women's player on the planet right now. Still not great, but otherwise, like you have to kind of like that there's a good bounce back here from Vakifbank as well. I mean, my girl Kira Van Rijk, 27 points. I got 4 blocks and 4 aces. Like to see her work on that efficiency a little bit, but still overall that's a good result for them on paper, and it's going to give them a little bit of boost. I know they've started a little bit slow over there in Istanbul.
The nice thing now for Vakifbank too is that they've got a legitimate second scorer because Marina Markova,
absolutely,
playing on the left side, is legit 30 points on 476 efficiency in a 5-setter against a great opponent. I don't care if Vargas didn't play. That is an awesome individual performance. So keep an eye on her for sure. Out of the University of Florida.
Sorry, thought I had to sneeze. Didn't come.
All good. Another Fenerbahce game. A Fenerbahce game the week before that. They beat Galatasaray in a donging, and Melissa Vargas did play, and she dropped 25 in 3 sets.
Yuck.
Gross.
That's gross. Oh, 25 in 3 sets. That's filthy.
All right. But the big story here.
The main event.
The big story coming out of the Sultanlar Ligi is the greatest. I think it's the greatest middle blocker stat line I've ever seen. I have never seen a middle blocker do this. And Everett, this is your girl. So I want you to read her stats and tell us about how unbelievable this is for a middle blocker to do what Emily Maglio just did.
23 for 38 as a middle. Which is crazy, especially when you consider her team passed 14% perfect. So yeah, 23 for 38, only 4 errors. She had 7 blocks, touched another 8. And Rob, that stat is actually accurate. She was overall a plus 25. A plus 25 as
In
a
the
middle.
middle?
She had no errors from the baseline either. Two aces. Yeah, she hit a 61%. Her efficiency was 50%. Once again, out of the middle, which is just straight redonkulous. There's no other way to put it. It is
I have
just
never
straight redonkulous.
never seen a middle get in the 30s. That's completely ridiculous. Men's, women's, any league, any level, I don't care. A middle blocker in the 30s is insanity.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Ronnie Cuban Spike is in the chat. I'm not being an asshole. I'm asking seriously. Like, did Robert Landy Simone ever do that or something like that? Like, he had his unbelievable games and he had his stat lines that were nuts because he blocked and served so many points. But like, did he ever get 30? It's ridiculous to think about 30 from the middle.
Yeah, no, it really is. I'm actually going to go back because all the Sutenlar League games are available on YouTube, so I might just watch through this one. Check her out.
That's insane. And Berkay is right to give some credit to the setter. This Dilay Özdemir girl is apparently a really highly rated U20 Turkish setter, so keep an eye on her. But credit to her for the confidence to sling 38 balls into the middle with, like you said, Everett, 14% perfect reception. That's crazy. That's just like true commitment to a game plan.
Yeah.
Like, coaches like to tell setters and like teams like to say, you know what, we're going to start this game or we're going to go this game. We're going to set the middle every conceivable opportunity. Then nobody ever actually does that. I mean, Everett and I are both former middles. Like we know that we've been promised more attempts than we actually get in games. Like, it happens. But like, to actually do it, to have a middle be your leading attempt getter for a game is crazy. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Also, I will say I'm watching some of the highlights here of this match as you're talking. Besiktas, which is like a legit Turkish club. They're big in football. Very nice court. Very nice court. I like the white court, the white on black court. Also, jerseys are Umbro. Not a brand that we have often in volleyball in general. And I like it. I like the style of it. So I like that these bigger sport clubs are starting to invest into volleyball.
It's great. It's incredibly good for the sport.
Yeah.
It happens a lot in Turkey too. Like, all their really big clubs all have like prominent volleyball teams. I mean, Fenerbahce is a great example. Galatasaray. Yep.
Absolutely.
Love to see it. But yeah, I mean, Emily Maglio, 32 is
attendance in this one is only 280.
Oh,
and that's what they reported too.
Only 280 people watched an all-time great middle blocker performance in person. That is a shame.
That is a shame. So yeah, Berkay, you want to talk smack that your league is better than the Lega Volley Femminile? That this doesn't happen here. So
yeah, you got to put butts in seats. But that 32.
What are you talking about? Their crowd is great. 200 people is not a great crowd.
No,
bro.
That's a terrible crowd. If that number is accurate, that's a terrible crowd.
Yeah, I was very sad on Friday when I was in Rio, Rob, because I was supposed to go to a flamenco match, and that's like Bernardino's team, Brie O'Reilly. But unfortunately, because of the heavy rain, it was suggested that I don't go because the traffic would have been taken forever. And then someone told me that I could have just taken the subway, and then someone else told me that I was way too gringo to be on the subway. So who knows?
Bummer. Next time.
Oh, Besiktas had a football match at the same time,
well,
bro.
Soccer sucks. It's the worst.
American football.
Don't get me started on that. I have nothing else about the Sutenlar League. At least I don't think I do. The top three teams, the top three teams that everyone expects, and then THY and Galatasaray are battling it out for fourth. And actually, I will say this: they did play each other. THY beat Galatasaray in 5. And another name to keep an eye on, Anthi Vasilantonaki. And try and get that right. She's an opposite from Greece, and she's dropping like 25 plus every single game for THY.
Okay, get me some Greek flavor here into volleyball world. It's been a while since we've had a good Greek team.
Greek players that are good. Yeah, man, that has been a long time. Since honestly, like the Athens Olympics. It's the last time that I remember.
Yeah, seriously, you're not wrong.
All right. Staying in Turkey here, a couple decent matches in the Efiler League. Ziraat Bank is atop the standings, but they have lost a couple random games. Galatasaray beat Halkbank in 5, and it was 18-16 in the 5th. So that was pretty cool. I'm sure they leaned on Jean Patry pretty hard, but there seems to be like more competitive Effler League teams than usual because Halkbank isn't as good as they usually are, and like Galatasaray is decent, Fenerbahce is decent, Arcus is decent. Sport Toto is 5-2. That's news to me. I don't know anything about that team this year, but like they've been a decent club in the past. So I don't know. I haven't watched any of Effler League, but we were told that there were some good games.
Yeah. I have not watched any of it. I do know nothing about the Everett League. I apologize. I'm slacking on my Turkish volleyball this year.
Same.
Why?
Guess who's on Sport Toto? There's a couple names. On Sport Toto.
Oh, who's on Sport Toto?
Our boy Salvador Hidalgo Oliva. He's been playing forever. We like him.
Oh, I did see this roster. This is a funny roster, isn't it?
Thomas Edgar, the Australian opposite, is on.
Wow, that's a blast from the past, like 2012 Olympics.
And then
Thomas
none
Edgar.
other than Garrett Mwangatutia is on this roster.
Big G.
Good job, Garrett, graduating from the Egyptian and Indonesian leagues, and he's back playing in Turkey. I love to see it.
You know what? I like it. I think I found my new favorite team. Sport Toto actually has filthy jerseys too. Like I like this.
Like the red and the black.
Yeah, the red and the black.
See it on Volleyball. They look nice.
Yeah. They've had some nice jerseys over the years. Not in the past few years.
Is this the team that Wallace was randomly on a couple years ago?
Yeah. Look at their 2021 jerseys. Those are really nice. And they had Wallace on the team. Nikos Bruno too.
Yeah. Kavika Shoji was there for a minute. That's nice. Paul Bucheger.
You can tell the years that they have good money because they have really nice jerseys, and the other years their jerseys are shit. Tell me I'm wrong though.
You're not.
No.
Your uniform karma is very real.
I would go back like that 2021 jersey is real sick.
I mean, you can't read the numbers. It's like black numbers on a black jersey. That drives me nuts. Yeah, I don't know why we're talking about Sport Toto. We're getting late in the show. Last but not least, I at least wanted to acknowledge the SV League. I haven't watched any of it in the last little bit because it's on at 4 a.m. But some of the games have been nuts. A lot of 5-setters. And then this weekend, you get Osaka versus JTech, who are the two best teams in the league. They're playing twice on Saturday and Sunday.
That one's real big. Like there's a lot of there's first of all, you have Miyaura against Nishida. So it's the two Japanese opposites going head to head. Jishki against DeFalco, American head to head. Then you've got the Latin America head to head with Lopez and Lucarelli going toe to toe. Like this is hands down is going to be one of the best ones to watch. JTech has been a little struggly though. They have been a little struggly. They went to 5 with the Tokyo Grapelet Bears, which is not a team
twice.
They went to 5 twice, which hasn't been great. They did throw some good matches against down on Sakai last weekend, the Blazers, and the Blazers were previously undefeated, but now they've had 4 straight losses because they got double donged.
Donged. Oh no!
Yeah, they got double donged this weekend by Wolf Dogs Nagoya, and Namir was filthy in those ones, both times. Ran Takahashi just not really. He's
on Centauri, right? With Mazursky and Schliefka.
Yeah,
that's a fun team once Schliefka gets back to playing full time.
Rand has not been having a great year though. Ryan has not been having a great year at all. But
I think we just coined a new term with the way their format works in Japan, where they play like the same opponent back to back days. If you get beat 3-0, 3-0, that's getting double donged.
Yeah. I mean that one's pretty obvious.
I love it.
Double dongs.
You don't want to get double donged. You don't want to go travel for a weekend or maybe host a team for a weekend. See the same team twice in 2 days. And go 0-6. A double donging. That's tough.
Yeah. But yeah, the Japanese schedule is tough. Like you have
it's 44 games.
2 matches a week. That's crazy. And it's back-to-back days too.
It's 44 regular season games.
Yeah,
it's completely insane.
That is nuts. They might have to work on that a little bit.
Otherwise, their
Because
athletes are going to go there this year. Now they're like opening things up and there's more money. And then they're going to realize, like, what am I doing to my body? Get me out of here. Sounds like Namir is already doing that. The comments are saying that he's already signed for Ziraat Bank next year, which is absurd. It's November. The fact that we know that is nuts. But yeah, I'm not kidding. 44 regular season matches. That's double what it should be.
Burkais is saying it's a bad product, and I actually disagree. I think it's actually kind of electric to watch back-to-backs like that. But it's just, especially when it's a good matchup. It's like the Canada West, but it does wreak havoc on your body.
It's horrendous for the athlete. Yeah. I will never stand for a format that destroys the athlete like that. Even if it's fun to watch sometimes, I will never stand for that. 44 regular season games is literally double a healthy volume. It's not acceptable. But Osaka versus JTech is going to be fun to watch. I probably won't watch it live because it's probably at 3 a.m. Let's see. What times are those at in normal human being time? Oh, you know what, Everett? Because I'm an hour behind you. Friday night at 11 p.m. is one of those games.
Well, that's not terrible.
That's not terrible at all. And then the next day is Saturday night, 11 p.m. my time. So those must be like kind of the earlier games on Saturday and Sunday, respectively. Okay, I can work with that, actually. I can work with that. If I come home from a night of doing whatever and keep the party going and watch some good ball. I don't hate that.
No. Maybe that'll be a good go and have some drinky poos, come back a little drunky, and watch them ball.
We would never do anything like that.
Never.
No.
Ever. No.
No, that's not something that we would do.
No, never.
No, never. Hey, we got through it. That was 2 weeks, like more than 2 weeks worth of volleyball to talk about, and we did it in like just over an hour and a half, dude. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's I'm a little brain dead, to be perfectly honest. I got home from Rio yesterday, and 20 minutes after I got home, I had a meeting.
That's tough.
Been working. So
I've had a completely ridiculous week and a half of my real job as well. It's been difficult to make a lot of time for volleyball, but I did watch a lot of Champions League today, and it got me a little more excited about things. So with Everett home for a couple weeks in a row, we should be able to be a little bit more regular about shows, and hopefully my webcam will work next week.
We're eating our fiber. We're taking our volleyball fiber, and we're going to be a little bit more regular now.
I like that. Join the Volleyball Source Discord, y'all. Links in the description. Best community in the world. We appreciate you all for always watching and keeping us up to date on what's going on. The Discord is a resource for us just as much as it is for everyone else. So get in there and talk about all the ball that's happening, and we'll talk to you next week.
100%. We love you all. Bye.